everyone, welcome back, and thanks for joining me. As you can see behind me, it's a kind of a cloudy Sunday afternoon, so I thought it would be a perfect time to settle in and connect with all of you. So the name of this blog this week is called I Want to Find My Spiritual Path, but where do I start? I remember asking that question of myself many years ago. Though my Catholic education is a wonderful foundation for my faith, I always felt there was just more that I needed to know. There was more truth that I needed to find. I didn't know where to start or where I was supposed to end up. I was pretty sure that I needed to be taught by great spiritual teachers, but I really had no idea how to find them. I kind of felt like a preschool student wishing I already had my PhD. I just wanted to get there. Spiritual teachers can help immensely, yet it's important to remember that a good spiritual teacher, again, takes our hand and leads us back home to ourselves. They can guide us and share what they have learned themselves. Yet, just like good parents, they empower us and help us to believe in ourselves and to remember that we are so much more than we think we are. They kind of push us out of the nest and help us to find our spiritual wings. They do not encourage us to depend on them. And if they do, that's a red flag. The best teachers that I studied guided me to understand that our path to awakening and enlightenment is not outside of us somewhere to be discovered, but it rests within us to be remembered. However, we have to start somewhere, right? And a good place to start is with someone we trust to begin to show us the way. It's not always easy, again, to find that someone, but if we begin first just by having faith in our instincts and our intuition, we will be guided successfully. Something I didn't know back then, that I wish I had, was this. A very powerful, effective, and simple way to begin finding our path, our purpose, and the people who can assist us is simply to ask for help. Ask our team of light for help. Let them know that we are ready and willing to awaken and be of service in whatever way that we intended before embarking on this earthly journey. The more we communicate with our team of light, which consists of our Creator, our spirit guides, and our angels, the more we will be able to discern their wise and compassionate voices rather than our fearful ego mind. Once again, we must remember our team of light is bound by our free will. They cannot intercede in any meaningful way unless we give them permission. And they can't wait for us to ask. Perhaps those of you reading or listening to this blog were guided to find Drusilla's dream and the work that I do. And I appreciate your trust in me, but just as much as I appreciate and trust that we are all capable of remembering the beautiful beings of light and love that we infinitely are. I am merely a signpost on your journey, and my purpose is to guide us all, including myself, to our inner temple on a regular basis. I say even myself because sharing my story and my journey with you every day, I am in constant contact with the highest aspect of who I am. And I am human, just as we all are, and thus susceptible to the fear that can arise from the challenges, adversities, and losses that we will most likely face here on the earth plane. In fact, those difficult times were and will be for many of us the catalyst we needed to force wide open the door to our true selves. I once read an interesting metaphor that was used to help us understand why we often forget our vast, powerful, and starry selves. Imagine we're an iceberg. The only part of the iceberg we can see is the part that's visible above the surface of the water. We may believe that that's all there is to that blob of ice floating around in the ocean. The truth is, it is only a very small part of that mountain of ice. We as a human in this world only perceive sometimes, we perceive ourselves to be only what we can see with our physical eyes. Thus, we begin to determine our worth and judge ourselves according to a society that kind of has a skewed sense of reality. We look in the mirror and we see only the iceberg and decide from that if we are worthy and lovable or not, just by evaluating the very limited biological and mortal form we are presently residing in. That part is only about 20% of who we are during this incarnation. What lies beneath is the other 80%, and our true immortal nature, or our soul. And that part is absolutely perfect and deeply and eternally loved by God and the entire universe. The key to remember is that so is every other soul ever created. No one is held in higher esteem, revered, or loved more than anyone else. Even the ones who we may perceive to be evil and beyond redemption are equally loved by God. Why? It is because as we were created, we took our rightful place within the matrix of the one energy that binds us all to each other. And that energy is love. Therefore, we are all authentically and organically made of love now and forever. Okay, so we're still faced with the question about how do we take action once we ask for help. Meditation, of course, is essential, but if you're not used to meditation, it may take a little bit of time and practice for us to be able to reach our inner temple regularly. In the meantime, we do some seeking. While still in the throes of a very painful and confusing and frightening time in my life, I set out on my spiritual adventure. There were no answers outside of myself, so I knew they had to be inside. So what I do is, this sounds kind of strange, and I didn't know it was going to happen when it started happening. I'd go to a local metaphysical bookstore to find something to read to help direct me. I had no idea what that was going to be. And I'd start browsing through the various topics, and I'd pick up a book and thumb through a few pages, and then put it back until I found the one. As soon as I picked up that one, my whole face flushed and became burning hot. And that's how I knew. That was the book that my guides wanted me to read. It was such an amazing process, and it happened over and over, but only in the beginning. That process only lasted long enough for me to develop a stronger intuition and inner knowingness. Then I could simply feel the energetic connection to information or teachings that were necessary for me at that point. So for years, I read ravenously and listened to many spiritual teachers who helped either direct me forward or assisted me in discerning truth from untruth. And that's important too. We all have had or will have our own unique story of how our awakening unfolded. As seekers of truth, we simply need to stay vigilant and recognize the signposts when they appear to direct us along the way. And they will appear. The signs may be in the form of a book. One person tells you, I read this really good book. And then another person a day later said, I read this, it's the same book. That happens 2-3 times. That's definitely a sign. It could be a person that shows up. A class that you just were guided to take, a retreat, a podcast, or even just a mystical moment of sudden conscious awareness and transcendence, where something just changes and you become connected to the part of you that is real. Eventually, once we have awakened sufficiently, but not necessarily entirely, we will be guided to begin teaching and sharing what we have discovered and remembered. Perhaps not in the way that I do it, but little things, little moments during our days. We then become guideposts for others who were where we were when we began our journey. This can happen at any time along the way. I began sharing almost 40 years ago, and then after I began my massage career, I was still learning and still very much healing from that tumultuous time in my young life. Yet I was inspired to do so because I found this miraculous thing happen for me. I found as I spoke, trying to help others, the truths were coming through me. The words were coming through me, not entirely from me. So I learned at the same time, but I taught. And this is not unusual, too. When we have a desire to be of service to others, we are served and guided as well through our kindness and compassion. Finally, my friends and spiritual companions on a mutual path, let us embrace our most important purpose during this and every incarnation. That purpose is simply to love and care for ourselves every single moment of every single day. When we truly and authentically embrace self-love and believe that we are perfect, worthy, and just plain enough, the world around us will begin to reflect back to us that wondrous love within. Not loving ourselves is invalidating our true nature and disregarding the very substance that defines us. And that substance is God's divine, infinite love and brilliant light. It is the only power that can awaken us all and bring our beautiful world back from divisive fear and return it to unifying love. As awakened and awakening light workers, we all are called to assist, and without hesitation, we always shout a resounding yes. We definitely got this. So I hope this helped a little bit in giving you some ideas. If anyone needs a book to read, something that I've read so many different things. So if you reach out to me and just give me some insight about what you're doing, where you're at, and what you'd like to learn about, I can definitely do some recommending for some books. But wherever you are, again, just just sit down and open up your heart to your team of light and just ask, I'm ready. Just say, I'm ready. Tell me what my next step is. Where do I go from here? I'm ready to do on a regular basis what I decided to do before I actually came here. And it will start happening. And I am always available if you need someone to talk to and make sense of things that are happening from a spiritual perspective. I mean, I don't have all the answers, and I am not a mental health professional, but I can help guide you from a spiritual perspective. So please feel free at any time to reach out to me. You can email me at drew@drusillasdream.com. So I hope everybody enjoys this afternoon. Here in the Northeast it's raining, but wherever you are, I hope you have little peaks of sun there. And I will see you next time. Namaste.